Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores, and today I'm coming with some good news and some bad news. Now, for some people, actually, this is bad news and worse news. For me, this is great news and scary news. So, first of all, it's been reported that Terry Mclaurin may hold out until his next contract, and apparently it's him, AJ Brown, and Metcalf all on it together. Like, I guess they all called each other up and was like, if you hold out, I'll hold out, and we'll all be able to get the most money possible. And we're gonna dive into that situation as to whether or not Terry Mclaurin will be there for like training camp and things like that. And it's a really complicated situation. And then the great news for me, and I feel like a lot of people, but not everybody is in agreement here, that safety Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame is visiting Washington, and I'm super excited about that. And of course, I'm gonna dive into exactly why. I mean, I already knew, like, if he would have fallen to 11 and we didn't meet with him, it was still a high chance that we would take him, just because he's so talented and he feels a huge need that we have with Landon Collins being gone. And of course, we're going to talk about that. Even though Landon Collins still technically is on the team right now, he won't be off the team till June 1st, well after the draft. So that's a really interesting situation in the first place. But I just feel like even if you don't meet with a guy like that, with him just being an on the field leader and the guy that does everything right off the field, on the field, everything, I wasn't going to hold much weight to us not having a meeting with him. And us having a meeting with him doesn't necessarily hold a lot of weight either, but it does show that there's genuine interest. But again, I mean, we didn't meet with Benjamin St. Juice last year and we took him in the third, and that's more surprising than like your first round pick. Your first round picks, meetings don't really hold as much weight because their tape is so great. You're just not gonna not draft Jameson Williams because you didn't get a chance to meet with him. I don't care what's going on. But like a third round pick, you typically want to see where the guy is at mentally. Is a reason he's sliding that far? Is it on the field concerns or off the field concerns or whatever? And so, that's more surprising that we took Benjamin St. Juice without interviewing him than say like a Kyle Hamilton. But then now doesn't matter. We already met with him. We already met with Daxton Hill as well, another safety that's a Swiss Army knife. So we're going to talk about all of that and more. But before we dive in the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, make sure you go become a channel member so you can get all of these exclusive film sessions that I'm releasing for channel members only, raw unedited film sessions. A lot of it's just laughing because, some of the players we're looking at are just embarrassing the opponents. If it's a receiver, getting all kinds of separation, juking them out of their socks. Guys like Kyle Hamilton, who we've already done a raw and edited one on, like the tackles he was making, the range he showcased, it was just beautiful. To the point all you can do is just laugh. I'm analyzing, but it's a raw and edited film session. A lot of it's like my first time seeing some of the footage, and man, it's really fun. So make sure you go become a channel member so you get exclusive access to those videos. And without further ado, let's get it. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the good news first. Kyle Hamilton, let's go ahead and get that out the way because we really got to dive into this Terry Mclaurin situation and whether or not we should be worried as Washington Commander fans. So Kyle Hamilton is due for a visit with the Washington Commanders soon, maybe sometime this week, and that's really interesting. Y'all know that's one of my favorite players. Like I've been saying, man, last year was Micah Parsons or quarterback or bust. And this year is Kyle Hamilton, maybe Jameson Williams at 11. And then I wouldn't say bust because like I like a lot of players, but I'm just in the boat where I don't think it's worth it for us to take receiver at 11. Even with the Terry Mclaurin situation, and we're going to dive into why I'm very optimistic about this Terry Mclaurin situation, first of all. So make sure y'all stay tuned for that. But I just don't think any receiver is just separating themselves from the rest of the group enough to where you should take them at 11. Everybody has certain concerns, certain ceilings. If we're just talking about if everybody's fully healthy, maybe Jameson Williams is the only guy I'd be willing to take at 11 who has that star star potential there. Whereas everything else, I mean, I like Chris Olave, I like Garrett Wilson, but I don't love them enough to take them at 11 when I can especially get George Pickens 47th overall. And I think at the end of the day, honestly, George Pickens may end up being the better receiver. Regardless of situation or whatever, I just think George Pickens, first of all, is super slept on because everybody just forgot about him since he missed a year. But if y'all remember, everybody coming out of their freshman year, all of the receivers in this draft right now, leaving freshman year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever, who was the receiver that had the most hype? The guys that everybody thought was going to be a top 5 pick in the future. It was George Pickens. But then he gets hurt at the end of his second year in the pointless bowl game where a lot of Georgia players skipped it for reasons like that. It was just like, that's why we ended up losing to Cincinnati. We went out there with like a third of our starters. Most guys sat out. I don't know why George Pickens still played, but he played towards ACL, and then we couldn't see him on the field for real at any point this season. He played a little bit towards the end, but he wasn't himself, and then he went and ran a very impressive 40 time faster than I even thought he would. So it seems like he's fully healed from the injury. So we'll see how that update goes. But I mean, again, I'm just not in love with any of the receivers outside of Jameson Williams enough to take him at 11. And I love George Pickens, but I just feel like you may even be able to play a gambling game and may get him late first, early second. You don't even have to take him at 11 for sure. Even though, I mean, as talented as George Pickens is, all those teams at the end of the draft that need a receiver, most notably the Chiefs, you let the Chiefs get George Pickens, I'm telling y'all, 1,200 a year, easily minimum. I'm telling y'all, not just because of the quarterback. I just think George Pickens is great. If for him knock the ball out, it's just he's gonna have to go to a terrible situation. But yeah, I went on a whole tangent about everything but Kyle Hamilton. But basically, what I'm saying is I prefer to take Kyle Hamilton at the 11th pick. As of right now, that's my favorite pick. Just like last year, taking Micah Parsons outside of quarterback was my favorite pick. This year, it's the same thing. Because, I mean, of course, I'm still holding out hope to get Malik Willis. I'm just 99.99% sure it's not going to happen. So, ignoring that, Kyle Hamilton is basically this year's Micah Parsons for me. And I really hope we go get him at 11, man. Please. We're gonna have to see how this goes though. And just to update y'all too, like there's multiple visits coming this week. You have Oklahoma defensive tackle Perrion Winfrey. You have wide receiver Treylon Burks, a guy I'm very intrigued by. All of the physical tools to basically be a Deebo Samuel. Everything I'm worried about is mental, like I've already spoken about in previous videos with how poorly he tested. Because I don't believe I think he's way more of a freak athlete than he tested. So that makes you think, like, did you come prepared? This is technically a job interview. Going to the combine and the pro days and things like that is literally a job interview. Why would you not come the most prepared? Why would you not work your tail off, day and night so that you can go out there and put up the best numbers that you possibly can? And so it's just like, where is he at mentally? That's the only thing I'm worried about. Plus, even with this crazy size, it doesn't seem like he uses it. Like, they even hit him on screen sometimes. But you're huge. If you want to be Deebo Samuel, you need to be the guy going out there and forcing contact. You need to be chasing the DBs down, if anything, as big as he is. So those are my main worries with Treylon Burks. But, I mean, at the end of the day, to be completely honest, if best case scenario happens for every single receiver in this class, you can argue Treylon Burks would end up being the best receiver if we're just coming from a tools standpoint. So that's really interesting that we're meeting with Treylon Burks as well, because I think he may go somewhat later in the draft. Like, not later, but like maybe early second, again, compared to the Chris Olaves and Garrett Wilsons, who may go top 15. I just don't think it's worth it. I prefer Treylon Burks later. I prefer George Pickens later. I'll even take a chance on Christian Watson later over taking, the Chris. It'd be different if we didn't have Terry McLaurin. Like, and again, we're going to talk about the Terry McLaurin situation and why I think this is just going to figure itself out. But it'd be different, like, if we didn't have Terry McLaurin and we were like, man, we just need to get one certified high floor receiver. I could understand if you wanted to take Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson, but we already have Terry McLaurin, so I prefer to take a chance on a guy with a higher ceiling with more star potential. And to me, and then especially with a different body type, we draft Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson. That's the fourth or fifth receiver that we're throwing out there that's somewhere around 6 foot, 6'1", maybe, speedster, great route runner. And of course, you technically can't have too many of those, but I prefer to go get somebody with a completely different body type. Of course, we still have Cam Sims, and I want us to utilize him more, but Cam Sims is not stopping me from drafting Drake London if I like Drake London. And again, I'm not even a big Drake London fan, but I am a fan of getting a guy like a George Pickens or a Treylon Burks that's just a completely different play style and body type than the rest of the receivers that we already have on our field that are really quick, route running, deep, down the field threat type of guys. We already have like 3 or 4 of those. So I mean, again, I don't think necessarily that would be a bad pick. Like if we take Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson with the 11th pick, I'm not flipping a chair, but I just don't think we're maximizing value. I think it makes the most sense, especially in a deep receiver draft like this one, where there's just so many guys that a lot of guys don't even have Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson, or maybe even both of them in their top 5 receivers. It's just like the better value is to take Kyle Hamilton in the first and a receiver in the second. Honestly, I think that's just the best way to maximize your draft picks that you currently have, especially with us not having a 3rd and a 5th round pick in arguably the deepest draft pool in NFL history. So that's really weird. But man, Kyle Hamilton, man, I'm really excited. I love this guy. I've already done a raw unedited film session on him, so I've already given my like really detailed thoughts on why I feel like we should take him. But just to basically summarize, we're losing Landon Collins, and going in like a couple of weeks ago, I thought middle linebacker was a bigger need than Buffalo nickel, but then John Conlon in his podcast said that the Washington Commanders are actually valuing the Buffalo nickel pick way more than they are feeling like they need to fill the middle linebacker role, and they feel like when in doubt, break glass in case of emergency. Cole can continue to play middle linebacker, even though that's not my preferred option either. Hopefully we can get a really good middle linebacker in a second. We need to gain a 3rd round pick because I think pretty much all of the great linebackers are going to be gone by the 3rd. Be nice if we can go Kyle Hamilton first, receiver second like George Pickens, and then middle linebacker in the 3rd. But apparently the Washington Commanders aren't prioritizing that as a need. I mean, as you can see in free agency, I would have thought that we would have went as hard as we could to go get a middle linebacker. I mean, there's still some guys out there available that we haven't gotten, but I think we're just going to wait till after the draft to see who we should and shouldn't sign. Ron Rivera even spoke about that, how they basically really dive into free agency after the draft, which is kind of backwards, and I prefer the other way, but hey, that's just how we do things, so it's whatever. If we win, I'm not going to question it anymore, but as of right now, I'm definitely still questioning that method. But apparently Buffalo nickel is a huge need. I know we're losing Landon Collins. Technically, he's still technically on the roster right now, but he'll be a June 1st cut, which will give us an extra like $15 million worth of cap space, put us well into the 20s, which may be how we end up giving Terry McLaurin his extension. But apparently us losing Landon Collins, they feel like is a huge hole. First of all, because we rarely were out there with 3 linebackers in the first place. I believe I saw a stat somewhere that we had 3 linebackers on the field, maybe 90 defensive snaps out of like 1,100 and something. So it's just like having a middle linebacker isn't that important anyway, because at the end of the day, you're going to have Jamin Davis is an outside linebacker, Cole Holcomb is an outside linebacker, and then Kyle Hamilton could just be back there doing everything. Because to me, he's basically just higher ceiling Landon Collins. You saw how great Landon Collins played for us at the back end of the last season, the second half, after Jack Del Rio finally woke up from his nightmare of being a defensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. Finally figured out how to use William Jackson. It was simple. Put him in man coverage. He can shut down a 1/3 of the field. Landon Collins, put him at linebacker. Well, basically the Buffalo nickel. Ask him to cover less. Now, and then just watch him play basically to like a Pro Bowl level that second half of the season out there making plays. I think Kyle Hamilton could at the very least be that, because he's more instinctual, and then also he's far better in coverage than Landon Collins. So if you wanted to play him at deep safety, you can. I definitely wouldn't say make sure Kyle Hamilton's playing single high deep safety as a permanent role, like maybe you could with Daxton Hill, even though I feel like Daxton Hill can play multiple roles. He could be single high free safety, slot corner, all of that. Kyle Hamilton, he can do it, but I prefer for him to basically just take over the Buffalo nickel spot that we're losing by cutting Landon Collins as of June 1st. That's just kind of how they differ. Kyle Hamilton's more of a linebacker. Daxton Hill is more of a free safety. But again, don't get me wrong. You could put Kyle Hamilton as your single high deep safety every now and then to confuse offenses. But I think ultimately, if you're going to use him more like a safety, you'll probably run a lot of cover 3, maybe cover 2. But ideally, he's going to be somewhere around the ball all of the time, roaming like Landon Collins did as the Buffalo nickel, using his sideline to sideline speed, his range, again, that he can use at free safety. But I love him as a strong safety, linebacker hybrid type of role. I think he would excel in that. Especially him and Cameron Curl will be a crazy tandem in my opinion, along with Bobby McCain coming out there, who can, honestly, from what I saw last year, I would hope that he would be a better free safety than slot corner. But based on the tape, even though he did improve as a free safety going into later into the season, just like Landon Collins and William Jackson, once they got comfortable with the defense, when Jack Del Rio got comfortable with learning how to use them, there was huge improvement for all of those guys. It's just that Landon Collins went from being okay to really good, great. William Jackson went from being like, okay, to really good, great. Bobby McCain went from being terrible to decent. So that's why we don't really talk about Bobby McCain's improvement like that, because it was a huge improvement. It's just that he started from so bad that really the improvement averaged out to him being decent last year at best. But I'm optimistic about Bobby McCain potentially even being a slot corner. And I mean, Kendall Fuller, who can play safety, outside corner. You draft Kyle Hamilton, he can play all of the above. Safety, free safety, strong safety, linebacker, slot corner, erase the tight end on the opposing team. If we're going against Travis Kelce, Kyle Hamilton's the one covering him. If we're going against a really potent running back that likes to catch the ball out of the field and they like to run the ball, Kyle Hamilton's your chess piece to check that. Just like Michael Parsons last year for the Dallas Cowboys. Whatever the opposing offense wants to do the most, what they do best, Kyle Hamilton can literally be the guy that takes all of that on his shoulders and erases that guy, and then the rest of the defense just got to worry about everybody else. So I just think that would be a very potent attack. I think Bobby McCain becomes a better safety when Kyle Hamilton's on your team, because Kyle Hamilton's going to be so instinctual in handling so many responsibilities. Again, Landon Collins plus coverage. Second half of last season, Landon Collins plus excellent coverage and instincts. So that's just going to take the weight off of so many guys' shoulders like Bobby McCain and even Cameron Curl. That they're just going to be better players once you draft Kyle Hamilton. Plus the leadership. Again, I'm not worried about the 40 time. If you look at it from the front, that man was running zigzagging. I think he definitely runs faster than that on tape. And even so, I'm not worried. Like, a lot of the rangiest free safeties we know in the league ran slow 40 times. Anthony Harris, when he was at his best, Justin Simmons for the Broncos, all of those guys ran upper 4.5 40 times, like almost 4.6s. I'm not worried at all. Those guys are pure rangy single high free safety, all pro level safeties in their primes, and they ran poor 40 times. Kyle Hamilton, again, he was zigzagging if you look at it from the right angle. I think he's definitely faster than that on tape. So, like I said, he can definitely play free safety, but I just wouldn't keep him there permanently, because at the end of the day, with as instinctual as he is and how much of a sure tackler he is, I think that's just a waste of his talent to make him a pure free safety only. And just to give y'all some stats, Kyle Hamilton, when he was at Notre Dame, played in 31 games. He recorded 138 tackles, 8 interceptions, a defensive touchdown, and 16 pass deflections over the course of 3 seasons. And if you didn't know, Kyle Hamilton is from Atlanta, so you know that's just what we do. I'll just be trying to tell people, man. You know, Will Anderson, best defensive player you can argue in college last year as a sophomore from the Atlanta metro area. My boy Kyle Hamilton, I think he's from Dunwoody or something like that. He's from Atlanta, you know what I'm saying? Deshaun Watson out here setting records, setting contracts and guaranteed money. Everybody fighting for his services. My boy Trevor Lawrence was just the #1 overall pick last year. You know what I'm saying? We just gonna do what we do, man. That's just what we do over here. There's just so many more guys I can talk about. I still think Justin Fields will end up being great, but we'll see. And don't forget my boys Antonio Gibson and Montez Sweat as well, man. Well, you know, we just out here doing what we do. And now let's move on to the Terry McLaurin situation, which is a little bit scary, but I'm gonna explain why you should probably be a little bit more optimistic than we are right now. Because, I mean, when people see the Adam Schefter tweets, you feel like it's time to panic. But it's really not that bad. We got to really dive into everything and explain why it's not that bad. Well, first of all, let's get to the Adam Schefter tweet, just so for people that haven't seen it yet. Apparently, Adam Schefter tweeted that second-round picks that include wide receivers Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, and Terry McLaurin, technically a third-round pick, though, but you know what he means. Outside of first-round pick receivers are not expected to participate in their team's on-field off-season programs because they want new contracts at a time this off-season when wide receiver deals have exploded. Thank you, Christian Kirk. I don't know why the Jaguars gave that man that money. Ran up the whole thing. I mean, I already knew Devontae Adams was going to get paid. And then Tyreek Hill, once he got traded, of course, he was going to get paid. But I think Christian Kirk, I mean, he just made the market boom. Like, everybody looking at Christian Kirk got this much. Well, I need to at least get this much. Man, the Jaguars messed it up for everybody, man. Adam Schefter also tweeted that as a team leader, Terry McLaurin still will be reporting to the team's offseason program that opens today while his contract situation remains unresolved. And first of all, it's not that I'm not surprised, but first of all, let's start it off with we weren't expected to go into contract negotiations with this guy until after the draft anyway. So it's not like this news is like, oh no, like what's going on with contract negotiations? Is it going sour? And I believe it's been reported from multiple sources that we haven't even started, and I'm gonna believe that. I think we're waiting until after the draft to see what happens. Again, Ron Rivera, like I said earlier, talking about Kyle Hamilton, Ron Rivera says that free agency for them starts after the draft, which is a little weird. Again, I don't like it. I'm gonna question it till the end of time, until we go and win a Super Bowl, or until we look like a really respectable team, because I would love to go and get some of the bigger names. Don't overpay for them, but I just feel like waiting until after the draft all of the time to really do most of your buying, most of your scouting, or whatever they're doing as far as free agency goes. I just I don't like it. Feels like bargain bin shopping, even though we've been really successful with it, with guys like Eric Flowers, Charles Leno, Logan Thomas, JD McKissick, Wes Schweitzer. I mean, it's been working. But I don't know, man. I definitely would I would love to go get the Bobby Wagners, the Tyrann Matthews of the world. But hey, so again, Ron Rivera and company say basically free agency starts after the draft. So I wasn't expecting a Terry McLaurin deal to get done or even really started on until after the draft. So that's one reason I'm not worried, because I will be worried more so if I'm the Seahawks with DK Metcalf and if I'm the Tennessee Titans with AJ Brown, because Terry McLaurin's like the face of this franchise. And I mean, even the fact that Adam Schefter tweeted after his main tweet that Terry McLaurin plans to be around the team still shows that, like, if you're really holding out, you wouldn't be coming to anything. You just be home. Plus, Washington opens its voluntary off the field program today, and it's reported that Terry McLaurin will be there. I guess he's just skipping OTAs as of right now, but I don't think he'll skip training camp, especially if we get a deal done before that. But even if we don't, I'm not sure if he skips training camp. OTAs and mini camps and all that stuff, Chase Young skipped that last year. So that may be what Terry McLaurin's skipping, but all this stuff we're doing today, Terry McLaurin's going to be there. And again, remember, training camp isn't until July. And remember, we didn't get Jonathan Allen an extension till late July. And we just moved on from that. We were worried all the way up until we got that contract extension with Jonathan Allen. We were really scared. And then it got done right before training camp, like right before training camp. So, and of course, this is just going to be a battle of leverage. Like for us, we have the franchise tag as leverage. For the player, like Terry McLaurin and AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, their ace in the hole is requesting a trade or using a trade as leverage. Like, hey, if you don't want to pay me, I can go elsewhere. I can start throwing a fit on the internet. But also, I mean, just by skipping OTAs, especially a guy like Terry McLaurin as your leader, like your true soul of the team, the main guy that you're unveiling the new name, new logo, new jerseys, all of that with, that definitely holds some weight. So this is going to be an interesting battle. But again, I'm pretty optimistic about the deal getting done, because again, if we draft Kyle Hamilton, it makes it easier to just go ahead and let Landon Collins go, and then that's an extra like $15 million added to our salary cap, and that's probably enough to go ahead and give Terry McLaurin what he wants. It's definitely going to be somewhere in the ballpark of like 20 to 25 million, somewhere around there, easily. So I think we could end up getting that done. We'll see. But again, I mean, this situation is just really interesting, because not only is he our best receiver, arguably our best player on our entire team, he's also one of like the leaders, and not just like a leader because of the talent. He's literally like the ideal guy you point to and be like, off the field, do everything he does. The way he talks in interviews, the way he practices, the way he puts his heart on the line, and is just one of the hardest working players on the team, even though he's already the best. Like, he's literally the guy you point at and just be like, everybody emulate exactly what he's doing on and off the field at all times, 24/7. And so that's gonna hold some weight too, because DK Metcalf is great, but he's not that super high character guy like a Terry McLaurin. But at the same time, I think the Seahawks are a little bit more desperate, so we'll see how that situation goes. Again, I think we end up getting Terry McLaurin down for somewhere between $20 to $25 million a year. But I just think it's really interesting that they're all colluding together. Like, this sounds like a joint effort. Like, they definitely contacted each other and made sure they were all gonna hold it down. Nobody's gonna fold. We're gonna all get big money. maybe they'll all go for the same range of money, or maybe it's a game of chicken and they're all gonna wait to see who gets signed first and how much they get, and then they're gonna all try to go for more after that. Because that tends to be how the market works, especially at the receiver position. Once a guy gets paid, he's the richest guy for like only a few hours, maybe a couple of days, and then somebody tops him immediately afterwards, using their contract details as like a base for what they should get, what they deserve. You see who just got paid all this money? I think I should deserve at least a little bit more than that, and then it just, and so on and so forth, man. Driving the market right up. And also, I feel like, I mean, Terry McLaurin's earned it, bro. Like, for even just money-wise, he's earned it, but also with us not paying him yet, and the fact that we haven't even started the contract negotiations, like I said, that I've seen from multiple reports, hey, man, he has every right to not show up to anything mandatory if he doesn't want to. He's the leader of the team. You would love to have him there, but I mean, with the quarterback situations he had to deal with, all of the hits he's taken, and just how he's been putting this team on his back, man, if anybody deserves a break, it's him. I mean, technically they've been on break for the past couple of months, but like, man, if anybody has the right to skip anything, it's him more so than Chase Young last year. So I'm not too worried, and I wasn't even really bothered by Chase Young missing OTAs last year and all of that stuff. Then again, it ended up showing that he probably should have been there, even though I'm not sure how much practice would have helped how underwhelming last season was for him. But yeah, again, I'm not really worried about it, man. The fact that he's going to be there today with the team, I think AJ Brown and DK Metcalf are straight up holding out. They're not going to be involved in anything. I think Terry McLaurin's just waiting until after the draft stuff like OTAs and mini camps, whereas DK Metcalf, I think they're holding out right now. Again, Terry McLaurin's supposed to be with the team today, participating in everything. But still, just the fact that he's showing up shows he wants to be here. If he really, really wanted out, if he was really, truly threatening to leave in a trade or something like that, he wouldn't be showing up to the simple little X's and O's meetings that are super duper voluntary right now. So Terry McLaurin is definitely showing he wants to be here. I think at the end of the day, we're going to end up getting the deal done. So don't worry about it. But definitely something to keep in the back of your mind, though. We worried all the way up until with Jonathan Allen until the deal got done. We're probably going to do the same with Terry McLaurin, but I just feel like with the Terry McLaurin situation as a person, I feel like it's more likely that we get the deal done than I felt with Jonathan Allen last year. But then again, Terry McLaurin is definitely asking for more money than Jonathan Allen was asking for. So that's what worries me about this situation. Terry McLaurin as the player, I'm more optimistic, but Terry McLaurin, the money that he's probably demanding is what has me a little less optimistic than the Jonathan Allen situation last year. And again, we didn't get Jonathan Allen signed to an extension until late July, literally minutes before the start of training camp. Like, I want to emphasize that. We woke up that morning, like, still no Jonathan Allen deal, man. Oh yeah, it's over with. We're not getting, we're gonna end up franchise tagging him, we're gonna lose him, and then right before training camp, he got signed. Man walked onto the practice field $1 million richer. Man, that 2019 wide receiver draft class is gonna go down in history. I think this 2022 is going to do the same thing as well. It's probably even deeper. May not be as star-studded, but it's definitely deeper, and that's another reason why I feel like you can just wait to take receiver definitely past the 11th pick overall, man. And it's also been reported that the Washington Commanders love Dyami Brown even probably more than most of us fans do. So I just don't think they're going to prioritize receiver like that, to be completely honest. Kind of to go back to the Kyle Hamilton situation, but it's also related to the Terry McLaurin situation in a slight way as well. If they view Dyami Brown that high, it sounds like they'll definitely wait until at the highest, the second round, to take a receiver. All of these receiver visits and stuff like that, while they are important and it does show serious interest because you do have a limited amount, you have 30 of them, top 30 visits, outside of like if you bring in some local guys for pro days, like how we looked at Jelani Woods and all those type of guys. I mean, that's different. But as far as bringing in like the Kyle Hamiltons, the Drake Londons, the Chris Olaves and stuff like that, you have a limited amount of those that you can use. But at the same time, maybe it's a strategy. Everybody knows we have a limited amount. We're bringing all these receivers in. Everybody's going to assume we want receiver. So guys that may want receiver may take receiver sooner than they normally would, knowing that we may take one at 11, or maybe they trade up. But honestly, we're just possibly using them as a smokescreen. And if we have a chance to go get Kyle Hamilton, we will. And I mean, for me, honestly, depending on what teams are asking for, Kyle Hamilton slides to like pick 9. I'm trading up to go get him. I'm not even risking it. You know what I'm saying? So that's how much I want Kyle Hamilton, but we'll see how the draft goes. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please like this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. Of course, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Go become a channel member for those exclusive film sessions. I'm definitely going to do one today, and maybe starting tomorrow I'll start putting these out daily. So I'm definitely doing one today, probably will do one tomorrow, and maybe every day leading all the way up to the draft, because we still have so many guys to watch, and it's gonna get to a point, especially like the week leading up to the draft, like the week of the draft, I'm probably gonna start doing more than one a day, because I gotta catch up on guys, and it's kind of like, why not record it and put it out, because I'm not doing much editing anyway. So hey man, stay tuned for that. Go become a channel member if you haven't, and as always, man, I appreciate all of the support, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors, whose name you see scrolling on the screen right now. I really hope y'all have been enjoying these film sessions, man, these exclusive film sessions for y'all. And man, I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.